ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति. Namaste, my dear friends. I am going to give you this video on meditation. In this video, Maharshi Ramnath's direct disciple or devotee Kunju Swami has revealed about meditation what was told and advised by his Sadguru Maharshi Ramana. After spending about 12 years in personal attendance on Bhagwan, I began to feel an urge to devote myself entirely to sadhana, spending my time all alone. However, I could not easily reconcile myself to the idea of giving up any personal service to Bhagwan. I had been debating the matter for some days when the answer came in a very strange way. As I entered the hall one day, I heard Bhagwan explaining to others who were there that real service to him did not mean attending to his physical needs, but following the essence of his teachings. That is, concentrating on realizing the self, needless to say, that automatically cleared my doubts. So, a real sage will advise his disciples or pupil, or you can say devotees, to follow his advice, give more importance to his teachings. But most of the disciples, they have a perception in their mind that serving the Sadguru will do for their sadhana. That means serving the Guru physically will be more than sufficient, and they ignore the teachings of their Sadguru. So we have to be very attentive to this advice of Maharshi that give more importance to the advice and teachings of the perceptor than simply depending upon the physical service rendered by them to the Sadguru. So, this was a very important advice given by Maharishi Ramana to his devotee Kunju Swami. So now he says, Kunju Swami says that I therefore gave up my ashram duties, but I then found it hard to decide how, in fact, I should spend the entire day in search of realization. I referred the matter to Bhagwan and he advised me to make self inquiry my final aim. But to practice self inquiry, meditation, japa, and recitation of scripture turn by turn, changing over from one to another as and when I found the one I was doing irksome or difficult. In course of time, he said the sadhana would become stabilized in self-inquiry or pure consciousness or realization. From my personal experience as well as from that of others, within my knowledge, I can say that before recommending any path to an aspirant, Bhagwan would first find out from him what aspect or form or path he was naturally drawn to and then recommend him to follow it. He would sometimes endorse the traditional stages of sadhana, advancing from worship puja to incantation japa, then to meditation dhyana, and finally to self-inquiry vichara. However, he also used to say that continuous and rigorous practice of any one of these methods was adequate in itself to lead to realization. Thus, for instance, when one adopts the method of worship, any of the Shakti, one should, by constant practice and concentration, be able to see the Shakti everywhere and always and in everything, and thus give up identification with the ego. Similarly, with japa, by constant and continuous repetition of a mantra, one gets merged in and loses all sense of separate individuality. In a dhyana, again in constant meditation with bhavana or a deep feeling, one attains the state of bhamantita, bhavanatita, which is only another name for pure consciousness. Thus, any method, if taken earnestly and practiced unremittingly, will result in any elimination of the I and lead to the goal of realization. Once some awkward problems concerning ashram management cropped up. Without being directly concerned, I was worried about them as I felt that failure to solve them satisfactorily would impair the good name of the ashram. One day, two or three devotees went to Bhagwan and put the problems before him. I happened to enter the hall while they were talking about them, and he immediately turned to me and asked me why I had come in at this time and why I was interesting myself in such matters. I did not grasp the meaning of his question. So Bhagwan explained that a person should occupy himself only with that purpose with which he had originally come to the ashram and asked me what my original purpose had been. I replied, to receive Bhagwan's grace. So he said, then occupy yourself with that only. He further continued by asking me whether I had any interest in matters concerning the ashram management when I first came here. On my replying that I had not, he added, then concentrate on the original purpose of your coming here. So, about meditation, we will learn some more deep knowledge about meditation. So, some questions are put to Maharishi Ramana by the devotees, and he answered these questions and satisfied their query. What is the difference between meditation and distraction? Bhagwan Ramana replies, no difference. When there are thoughts, it is a distraction. When there are no thoughts, it is meditation. However, meditation is only practice as distinguished from the real state of peace. Devotee puts the question to Maharishi Ramana. How to practice meditation? Maharishi replies, keep off thoughts. Devotee, how to reconcile work with meditation? Devotee asks, how to reconcile work with meditation? Sri Ramana, who is the worker? Let him who work ask the question. You are always the self. You are not the mind. It is the mind which raises these questions. Work proceeds always in the presence of self only. Work is no hindrance to realization. It is the mistaken identity of the worker that troubles one. Get rid of the false identity. Mr. B.C. Das, the physics lecturer, asked, contemplation is possible only with control of mind, and control can be accomplished only by contemplation. Is it not a vicious circle? Maharishi replies, yes, they are interdependent. They must go on side by side. Practice and dispassion bring about the result gradually. Dispassion is practiced to check the mind from being projected outward. Practice is to keep it turned inward. There is a struggle between control and contemplation. It is going on constantly within contemplation will in due course be successful. Devotee, how to begin? Your grace is needed for it. Maharishi replies, grace is always there. This passion cannot be acquired, not realization of the truth, nor in inherence in the self, in the absence of Guru's grace. The Master quoted. Practice is necessary. It is like training a robust bull confined to his stall by tempting him with luscious grass and preventing him from straying. Then the master read out a stanza from Through What's Come, which is an address to the mind saying, O humming bee, namely mind, why do you take the pains of collecting tiny specks of honey from innumerable flowers? There is one from whom you can have the whole storehouse of honey by simply thinking or seeing or speaking of him. Get within and hum to him, Harinkara. Devotee. Should one have a forum in one's mind, supplemented with reading or chanting God's name in one's meditation? Sri Ramana. What is mental conception except it be meditation? Devotee. Should the forum be supplemented by repetition of mantras or dwelling on divine attributes? Sri Ramana. When japa is the predominating tendency, vocal japa becomes eventually mental, which is the same as meditation. Now, talk number 293. Mr. K.K.V. Iyer there is no way found to go inward by means of meditation. Maharishi, where else are we now? Our very being is that devotee. Being so, we are ignorant of it. Sri Ramana, ignorant of what and whose is the ignorance? If ignorant of the self, are there two selves? Devotee, there are no two selves. The feeling of limitation cannot be denied due to limitations. Maharshi Ramana, limitation is only in the mind. Did you feel it in deep sleep? You exist in sleep. You do not deny your existence. Then the same self is now and here in the wakeful state. You are now saying that there are limitations. What has now happened is that there are these differences between the two states. The differences are due to the mind. There was no mind in sleep, whereas it is now active. The self exists in the absence of mind also. Devotee. Although it is understood, it is not realized. Sri Ramana. It will be by and by with meditation. Devotee. Meditation is with mind, and how can it kill the mind in order to reveal the self? Sri Ramana. Bhagwan Ramana replies, meditation is sticking to one thought. That single thought keeps away other thoughts. Distraction of mind is a sign of its weakness. By constant meditation, it gains strength. That is to say, its weakness of fugitive thoughts give place to the enduring background free from thoughts. This expands divide of thoughts is the self. Mind is purity is the self. Sri Bhagwan continued in reply to the former question. Everyone say, I am the body. It is the experience of the sage as also of the ignorant. The ignorant man believes that the self is confined to the body only, whereas the wise man believes that the body cannot remain apart from the self. The self is infinite for him and includes the body also. Next, Mr. Parkhi puts the question to Maharishi. How is meditation to be practiced? Bhagwan Ramana. Meditation is truly speaking Atmanistha, that is, to be fixed as the self. But then thoughts cross the mind and an effort is made to eliminate them. The effort is usually termed meditation. Atmanistha is your real nature. Remain as remain as you are. That is the aim. Devotee. But thoughts come up. Is our effort meant to eliminate the thoughts only? Bhagwan Ramana replies, yes. Meditation is being on a single thought. The other thoughts are kept away. Meditation is only negative in effect, inasmuch as thoughts are kept away. Devotee, it is said, Atma samastham manah kartava, fixing the mind in the self, but the self is unthinkable. This was the question put. The devotee asked the question. It is said that Atma samastham manah kartava. That is, fixing the mind in the self, but the self is unthinkable. Maharishi replies, why do you wish to meditate at all? Because you wish to do so, you are told, Atma smastham manah kratva, fixing the mind in the self. Why do you not remain as you are without meditating? What is that manah mind? When all thoughts are eliminated, it becomes Atma Samastha, the fixed in the self. Devotee. If a form is given, I can meditate on it and other thoughts are eliminated, but the self is formless. Sri Ramana. Meditation on forms or concrete object is said to be dhyana, whereas the enquiry into the self is vichara, enquiry or nididhyasana. Explaining Adhyaropa Pavadhyayam, superimposition and its elimination. Sri Bhagwan pointed out that the first turns you inward to the self, and then according to the second you know that the world is not apart from the self. Now, talk 97. Mr. Cohen asked, meditation is with mind in the Jagrat waking state. There is mind in dream state also. Why is there no meditation in dream? Nor is it possible. Maharshi replied, ask it in the dream. After a short silence on Bhagwan continued, you are told to meditate now and find who you are. Instead of doing it, you ask, why is there no meditation in dream or in sleep? If you find out from whom there is Jagrat waking, it will be clear that dream and sleep are also for the same one. You are the witness of Jagrat waking, Swapna, dream, and Susupti, sleep. Rather, they pass before you because you are out of meditation now. These questions arise. Stick to meditation and see if these questions arise. Next is talk number 298. A certain visitor formulated a question saying that meditation is more direct than investigation because the former holds on to the truth, whereas the latter shifts the truth from untruth. Sri Ramana. For the beginner, meditation on a form is more easy and agreeable. Practice of it leads to Atam Vichara, which consists in shifting the reality from unreality. What is the use holding on to the truth when you are filled with antagonistic factors? Atam Vichara directly leads to realization by removing the obstacles which make you think that the self is not already realized. Now, talk number 310. Devotee. Work leaves no time for separate meditation. Is the constant reminder I am trying to feel it while actually at work enough? Sri Ramana. It will become constant when the mind becomes strengthened. Repeated practice strengthens the mind, and such mind is capable of holding on to the current in that case. Engagement in work or no engagement, the current remains unaffected and uninterrupted. Devotee. No separate meditation is necessary. Sri Ramana. Meditation is your true nature now. You call it meditation because there are other thoughts distracting you. When these thoughts are dispelled, you remain alone, that is, in the state of meditation free from thoughts, and that is your real nature, which you are now attempting to gain by keeping away other thoughts. Such keeping away of other thoughts is now called meditation. When the practice becomes firm, the real nature shows itself, the true meditation. Other thoughts arise more forcibly when you attempt meditation. Sri Ramana Maharshi continued after a number of questions were asked on this topic. Yes, all kinds of thoughts arise in meditation. It is but right what lies hidden in you is brought out. Unless they rise up, how can they be destroyed? They therefore rise up spontaneously in order to be extinguished in due course, thus to strengthen the mind. Talk 452. Mr. Dhar, ICS, a high officer, and his wife, both young, highly cultured, and intelligent, are on a visit here, but they fell ill since they arrived here. She desired to know how meditation could become steady. Maharishi Ramana. What is meditation? It consists in expulsion of thoughts. All the present troubles are due to thoughts and are themselves thoughts. Give up thoughts, that is happiness and also meditation. Mr. Dhar, how are thoughts given up? Maharishi, the thoughts are for the thinker. Remain as the self of the thinker, and there is an end of thoughts. Mr. Dhar asked Sri Bhagwan why Brahma, who is perfection, creates and puts up to ordeals for regaining him. Sri Ramana. Where is the individual who asked the question? He is the universe and included in the creation. How does he raise the question when he is bound in the creation? He must go beyond it and see if any question arises then. Talk 462. Mr. Dhar had been anxious to ask some questions and get help from Sri Bhagwan. She, that is, Mrs. Dhar, had been anxious to ask some questions and get help from Sri Bhagwan. She approached him with great hesitation and gently related her troubles. My attempts at concentration are frustrated by sudden palpitations of palpitations of heart and accompanying hard, short, and quick breaths. Then my thoughts also rush out and the mind becomes uncontrollable. Under healthy conditions, I am more successful and my breath comes to a standstill with deep concentration. I had long been anxious to get the benefit of Sri Bhagwan's proximity for the successful culmination of my meditation, and so came here after considerable effort. I fell ill here, I could not meditate, and so I felt depressed. I made a determined effort to concentrate my mind even though I was troubled by short and quick breaths. Though partly successful, it does not satisfy me. The time for my leaving the place is drawing near. I feel more and more depressed as I contemplate leaving the place. Here I find people obtaining peace by meditation in the hall, whereas I am not blessed with such peace. This itself has a depressing effect on me. Sri Bhagwan replied. This thought, I am not able to concentrate, is itself an obstacle. Why should the thought arise? Devotee, can one remain without thoughts rising all the 24 hours of the day? Should I remain without meditation? Maharishi replies, what is ours again? It is a concept. Each question of yours is prompted by a thought. Your nature is peace and happiness. Thoughts are the obstacles to realization. One's meditation or concentration is meant to get rid of obstacles and not to gain the self. Does anyone remain apart from the self? No. The true nature of the self is declared to be peace. If the same peace is not found, the non-finding is only a thought which is alien to the self. One practices meditation only to get rid of these alien fancies. So, then a thought must be quelled as soon as it rises. Whenever a thought arises, do not be carried away by it. You become aware of the body when you forget the self. But can you forget the self? Being the self, how can you forget it? There must be two selves for one to forget the other. It is absurd. So the self is not depressed. It is not so imperfect. It is ever happy. The contrary feeling is a m- mere thought which has actually no stamina in it. Be rid of thoughts. Why should one attempt meditation? Being the self, one remain always realized only be from thoughts. You think that your health does not permit your meditation. This depression must be traced to its origin. The origin is the wrong identification of the body with the self. The disease is not the self, it is of the body. But the body does not come and tell you that it is possessed by the disease. It is you who say it. Why? Because you have wrongly identified yourself with the body. The body itself is a thought. Be as you really are. There is no reason to be depressed. Talk number 624. A devotee asked Sri Bhagwan, with every thought, the subject and the object appear and disappear. Does not the I disappear when the subject disappears? Thus, if that be so, how can the query of I proceed? Bhagwan replies, the subject knower is only a mood of mind. Though the mode vritti passes, the reality behind it does not cease. The background of the mode is the I in which the mind modes arise and sink. Devotee. After describing the self as Srota, hearer, man, Manta, thinker, Vijanta, knower, etc., it is again described as Asrota, Amanta, Avijanta. Non-hearer, non-thinker, non-knower. Is it so? Bhagwan replies, Just so, the common man is aware of himself only when modifications arise in the intellect. Ji- Jivanana Maya Kosa, Vigyanamaya Kosa. These modifications are transient. They arise and set. Hence, the Vijnanamaya intellect is called a kosa or seat. When pure awareness is left over, it is itself the chit, self or the supreme. To be in one's natural state on the subsistence of thoughts is bliss. If that bliss be transient, arising and setting, then it is only the seat of bliss. Anandmaya kosa, not the pure self. What is needed is to fix the attention of the pure, i.e., of the subsi- subsidence of all thoughts and not to lose hold of it. This has to be described as an extremely subtle thought as it cannot be spoken of at all, since, since it is no other than the real self. Who is to speak of it, to whom, and how? This is well explained in Kaivalyam and Viveka Chudamani. Thus, though in deep sleep, the awareness of the self is not lost. The ignorance of the jiva is not affected by it. For this ignorance to be destroyed, this subtle state of mind, virti jnanam, is necessary. In the sunshine, cotton does not burn. But if the cotton be placed under a lens, it catches fire and is consumed by the rays of the sun passing through the lens. So, too, though the awareness of the self is present at all times, it is not inimical to ignorance. If by meditation the subtle state of thought is won, then ignorance is destroyed. Also in Viveka Chudamani, the exceedingly subtle Supreme Self cannot be seen by the gross eye, and this is self shining and witnesses all. This subtle, this subtle mental state is not a modification of mind called virati, because the mental states are of two kinds. One is the natural state and the other is transformation into forms of objects. The first is the truth and the other is according to doer. True Tantra. When the latter perishes like the clearing nut paste in water, the former will remain over. The means for this end is meditation. Though this is with the triad of distinction, Tripati, it will finally end in pure awareness. Jnanam. Meditation needs effort. Jnanam is effortless. Meditation can be done or not done or wrongly done. Is not so. Meditation is described as Kartru Tantra, as doers own. Jnanam as Vastu Tantra, the Supreme's own. So, this is all about this topic. So, thank you, my dear friends, for watching and listening this very useful piece of knowledge. Thank you. Please like, comment, and share the video and subscribe my channel. Thank you.